Hello, and welcome to For Better Love's Va-Va Vows Visioning. This is for the Masterclass tonight and the playbook, little activity guide. I always like to give you something tangible you can sink your teeth into, or should I say sink your hearts into. And let's go ahead and get started for tonight. All right, so Va-Va Vows Visioning. Now, one of the things I like to say about this is it's about not just creating vows that wow you and your guests now, but about creating vows that that woo you later into keeping them alive for years to come. My husband Raj and I, this is us on our wedding day, and we have 12 wedding vows. I'll tell you more about that later. But we have 12 wedding vows, and we focus on one wedding vow of the month. This is us on our wedding day saying our wedding vows. Now, this can be pretty stressful to write wedding vows for the big day. You got a lot of things that you're doing. So this is about taking a high pressure task and turning it into a deeply pleasurable experience. I'm going to give you some resources on how you can do this DIY or how you can do this fully supported. I like to call it the full limo ride. Have the champagne and bubbles and the full limo ride experience, or the DIY, whatever works best for you. I'm going to give you options. Now, before we dive in further to the content, in case this is your first time with For Better Love, Raj, my husband, and I created For Better Love together, and we created this purpose, this declaration, and we actually say this to each other. We have a meeting every Friday, sometimes Thursdays, but we say this at the beginning of our meeting, which is that our lives and our love lifts us and others up by bringing play to accountability. Well, what does that mean? Well, I help couples take what they're complaining about, what they're struggling with, and turn them into goals, turn them into visions to create then more play, peace, and passion in love and life. Essentially, what do you want? And then how do you create more of it? What do you want? And how do you create more of it? But as partners, right? Not just how can we get on the same page, and not even just how can we be partners, but how can we be playmates as well in creating this amazing life that is going to get better and better. And just the way the wheel of fortune, as they say, goes, not the game show, but the from from the luck, right? The wheel of fortune, it goes around and around, and it comes and it goes. So you want to get through the tough times as quickly as possible and learn from them, and then get as quickly as you can into the good times. So that's what Raj and I do, help couples get clear on what they want and then make that a reality. And now today we're going to be applying that to creating your wedding vows, right? Our purpose is to bring play, peace, and passion to love and life. But what do you promise? What's important in your wedding vows? That's what we're going to look at today. Now, if you want to hear more from For Better Love, of course, you can check out forbetter.love. It's not forbetterlove.com, but forbetter.love. But you can also find us on all of these other locations, events, or publications. Now, if you're here and attending live, bravo, thanks for being here. You will get the activity guide at no cost. Check your email and we'll send that to you. Now, if you're here watching the replay, bravo, taking advantage of getting access to the masterclass for free when it's normally $100, but the playbook is still available at a discount. It's normally $33, but for right now, it's just $11 for at least 1 week after this was live. So check your timing, check your emails. You're sure you're going to get a follow-up. Now, you can just watch this masterclass and you can go through this. But if you want that activity book, go ahead and check those emails and get a copy of yours today. All right, let's start with the overview. How do you create wedding vows that are going to wow you and your audience? It's not a performance, your guests, right? Those that are standing for you and for your marriage. How are you going to wow yourselves and them, and also woo yourselves later into keeping them alive? Now, before you even get started, I have a few tips on how to get off to a great start. But then there's 5 core steps. And the first is just capture your first ideas just from nothing. Just what are the things that are important to you? Then you want to seek some inspiration. What are other people saying? I'm going to give you some examples here. And if we work together, I have a whole list of wedding vows that I've helped couples write in the past. even by category, by subject, right? So if you're like, I want to talk about this subject, I've got some ideas for you. So you're going to do a pass at creating, taking those ideas that you came up with together and then turning those into vows. Then I have a few suggestions on how to edit your vows, how to say your vows, because you write them, you go to all this effort, and then sometimes when it comes to the day of, things can fall apart. So I'm going to give you a few tips on actually saying your wedding vows. And then most importantly in my book is how do you keep those vows alive afterwards, right? You could just pick a month. Like August is Raj and my toughest wedding vow. It's I promise to breathe deep. I promise to get off it first. Like if you're promise to get off it first, breathe deep and give, especially when it's difficult. Not when, I'm wrong and you're right, right? It doesn't matter who's right or wrong. So that wedding vow or March, I promise to be an instigator of affection, but I know what those wedding vows are. And every day, every week, every month, we have practices, games, I like to call it, games to play to keep those vows alive. So you're not having conflicts and then trying to figure out the problems, but instead your energy is going to keeping those vows alive in a playful and proactive approach. Now, I have a bonus. There's something really sweet and just delightful that Raj and I did in our wedding, and I've seen lots of other people are doing this in weddings now, and it's a sweet little fun surprise to keep secret from your beloved. So working on the vows together and then keeping this little part secret just to surprise them when you're up there and they're hearing it the first time from you. So I'll give you, stay tuned for that. Do also stay tuned at the end. Feel free to put your questions in the chat. I do have my project manager, if you're here live, he is checking those comments. If I mention any links or URLs, he'll be posting those to make them easily accessible for you. But if you stay on afterwards, if you come to any of our master classes live and you stay on afterwards, then you can get coaching for free as well, right? Get your questions answered, get some free coaching. All right, we'd like to start with outcomes. Where are we going after completing this playbook? And not just the playbook, but I want you to look beyond the masterclass tonight and beyond the playbook and actually look at what are your individual values. That's if you have gone through this process, when you're done with it, when you're celebrating, that's one thing that you will have done. You will have talked about it. You will have combined what you each thought individually. And then you're going to take those vows and put those structures for keeping those vows in action. Now, I'd like you at the end to also make a declaration on what are you going to do? Not just, oh, those are good ideas, but actually make a declaration on what you're going to do to keep your vows alive. Now, when you make that declaration, let's make sure you follow through and I don't want you to have to work hard. I want you to work smart. So we have some suggestions on how to put your goals into habits, into a tangible reality, so you don't have to remember them, but they will come to you in a fun and playful way. Now, I don't want this to all be great information. It is great information, but we don't want it to go in one ear and out the next, right? They say that you lose 80% of information within 24 hours. And if it's just information, it's not very valuable in the first place unless you can personalize it into something that you're going through, that you're navigating, that you're looking to get the most out of, like writing your wedding vows. So we always have a personalize it section in these activity guides to take what we've talked about and then actually have you have a place for it to capture what your thoughts are. So after completing this, after completing the masterclass, after completing the playbook, and after your vows on your wedding day, what are you going to have experienced? What are those outcomes that are most important for you? So if you're here live, put that into the chat. If you're watching this on either a replay or you purchased it, then go ahead and pause and answer those questions now. All right, some reminders. Keep these things in mind. Now, some of these might look even a little bit familiar. If you are familiar with the For Better Love Master classes, we do one every month, usually the third Wednesday of the month, at least at the time of recording this. But one of the things I say all the time, which my mentor from years past, Skip Downing, used to say to me, how can you use and adapt this? So make it your own. If there's something that seems interesting, great, lean in there. If there's something that does not seem helpful, skip it, move on to something else. Okay, all right. So some of these reminders, it's your path. Take the pleasure path, use what resonates, and use what resonates for the two of you, right? Look first for what you both resonate with. And there might be some parts that you prefer individually, and that's okay too. Okay, so before you start writing your vows, let's just get you off to a great start. And there's two parts of getting you started off on the right foot, which is one, getting you grounded, and two, doing a check-in, right? So let's first look at the grounding. Now, grounding's main purpose is to provide a common point of reference between sources of electrical energy, ensuring safety and stability in the system. Now, this is an electrical engineering principle, right? But that's what we're doing when we do the gratitude grounding, is we are ensuring the safety and stability in the system. Maybe there's a lot of expectation with the vows. Maybe there's some intimidation about writing them. By the way, I've got some, support again to make it either simple for you to do on your own or jump into the full limo ride and I will help you do a lot of the heavy lifting. All right, so with this gratitude grounding, so first take a moment, just pause, right? Slow down and just take a moment to get connected with yourself and with each other. Now, I have a meditation called the Gratitude Grounding, and it's available at forbetter.love/meditations. There's two meditations there, a 5-minute meditation, this one, and a 10-minute meditation. That's the Inner Magic Joy Cycle meditation. But both of these meditations can really give you a great chance to slow down, pause, come into your body. Maybe you've had a busy day, whatever it is, but you are writing your wedding vows. So give yourself the gift of having this be a pleasurable experience, not a high pressure task. And part of that is getting yourself present and grounding, right? So hopefully you can use that resource and find that. Now, a second one that I want to encourage you to take a look at are check-ins. So before you start writing, do a check-in with each other. Maybe the person has had a tough day. Maybe they've had a big victory and something they want to share, or there's something that's bothering them. Now, you don't want to derail the call, or I'm sorry, the meeting, the session of vow writing that you're doing, but you do want to be intentional for just having a moment to touch base with each other at first. All right, I start with a quote here. A healthy relationship requires regular check-ins. It's the little moments of connection, right? That's what's going to make a difference. It's the little moments of connection that keep this foundation strong and the love growing. Now, that's by John Gottman, one of my favorite relationship researchers. A healthy relationship requires regular check-ins. It's the little moments of connection that keep the foundation strong and the love growing. So how can you keep your foundation strong and the love and connection growing? We're going to give you some ways to do that, right? When you go to check in, anchor to what's most important for your relationship. Now, this is a good chance to just bring in some awareness, bring in some intention, and bring in a sense of intimacy between the two of you so you can actually enjoy this experience. So just take a temp check before you dive in, right? How are we doing? Right? Put your finger in the air, check the wind, get some insight into your current state and each other's current state, and then be considerate if someone's having a tough time. Now, I like to use numbers. If you're worried about getting into too big a conversation, I might say something like, I usually use a body, mind, heart, spirit. So I might say body, I'm an 8, mind, I'm a 6. I've got a few things bothering me, but I'm okay. Heart, I'm feeling a 9 and connected to you. Spirit, I'm a 8, doing pretty well. Now, it might be that you discover one of you has a 4 or something of that nature. And it might be that you say, you know what, maybe this isn't the time to write our wedding vows, and maybe we should talk about why you're a 4. So just do a little bit of an awareness and intimacy and intention check-in, right? Body, mind, heart, and spirit. There's some other examples here, right? So yeah, if your numbers are low, consider finding another time. Now grab your playbook, right? Get that activity guide. So one of the other quotes I love here about gratitude is a grateful heart is a magnet for miracles. So if you start with gratitude and that gratitude grounding meditation, it really can set you off in a great pace for creating your vows and a great tone, a great mood. Now, the second part of this is to personalize it with your check-in. And we've created a sheet here that you can just put the numbers and write in any comments if you'd like to do that for Beloved A and Beloved B. Step one, capturing your first ideas. Before you do anything else, just what's on the top of your head. Now we're going to do a first pass and then you're going to share it, but on your own, first solo and then shared. Go through and what is important to you? What are the phrases? I'm going to give you a few places to look. Now, quote to remind you on how to lean into this section is to be yourself, right? Everyone else is already taken, as Oscar Wilde says. So especially with something as sacred and important and as foundational as your wedding vows. So you're going to, in a moment, look to inspiration of others. But at first, what's just most important to you? What words are important to you? What do you want to promise? So first, start with just you on your own. You might do this at the same time with each other, just even set a 15-minute timer and just jot down what are your thoughts, right, about your wedding vows. Set a timer, have some fun, and just throw spaghetti on the wall at this point, right? It's nothing set in stone. Those who work with me in the full limo ride program, I actually take their vows and put them into a nice, beautiful canvas and send that to them. But that's later after they've actually said the vows, just in case they change them the night before. So it's not set in stone. This is some spaghetti on the wall. So some places to look when you're doing your first pass is just your heart dump. What is right there? What are the words that pop up? Then looking at what are some of your core values? What's most important to you in a marriage? There might be some essential key words that come up for you or some themes and particular areas. All right, so one of the most sincere forms of respect is actually listening to what someone has to say, especially your beloved, especially at your wedding vows. So after you've done a first pass, then come together and share. Now, you could have each person go back and forth about sharing, or you could let one person go all the way through. That's going to be up to you. As I say, you can use this, adapt, pull it apart, modify it, use and adapt this however you see fit. All right, so first start off with a warm invitation. I'm looking forward to hearing what you said. Thanks for even doing this in advance. Most people don't write their vows, or if they write their vows, they write them the night before under a lot of pressure and stress or a lot of anxiety. Did I do it right? I read Reddit all the time, and I was just reading a post from a husband. He's like, my wife just sent me her vows, and are mine okay? I don't know. I think she's doing more than I am. His vows are actually pretty great, but I don't want you to go through that stress. So get some support in however you get support to draft wedding vows that you can feel confident and really enjoy getting to say them in the moment, not be in your head the day before, the night before, or the day of, right? All right, so make it safe and fun for these big reveals. You're not attached to anything at this point, so don't get stuck on any particular vow or word. And you just want to listen to each other's full list, right? Let it wash over you. So personalizing it, you can take your activity guide in the playbook, or you can just do this in a Google Doc or a notebook and jot down your ideas for your heart dump, your core values, your keywords, and your themes and areas. Right? Now, the next step after that is to share it with your beloved. And there are some instructions to walk you through sharing that in the activity guide. Step 2, seeking inspiration. As I said, for the first step was capture what your thoughts are. And now you want to look and say, okay, what are other people doing? What are other vows? Now, when I do the Va-Va Vows program, we have the Masterclass and the activity guide, and we have the done for you. Now, it's done with you, really, but a lot of the writing and the merging and the heavy lifting, I do a done for you coaching full limo ride version of this program where I interview you and capture the essence. But you absolutely can do this on your own if that works better for you for whatever reason, your time or your budget. So doing an online search for other people's wedding vows, you can take a look and see what they have found. But as I mentioned in my program, I also have a whole bunch of examples from what we've created in the past. Now, I will share one example with you right now, which is Raj and my wedding vows. I already shared two earlier, March and August, right? There's one wedding vow that is most popular. By the way, feel free to use these. I've had the pleasure of being at three different weddings four now actually, where the people who I supported in writing their wedding vows, I got to actually go to the wedding as well. I have been coaching them in their relationship. Just a delight to be there. And the wedding vow that most commonly gets used from Raj and my wedding vows is, I promise to love your loved ones as my own. I promise to love your loved ones as my own. We all have family challenges, right? It's not easy. Okay, so let's see here. Any other vows I wanted to share? Well, you can take a look here. And then I'll tell you how we keep these alive later on. But, oh, I love this one. I promise to be myself with you and to accept you exactly the way you are. All right, moving on here. So for you, personalize your playbook, write down what you're inspired by, do a search, or sign up for the Full Limo Ride Va-Va Vows program and see some inspiration from what other people are saying. You might even reach out to couples that you admire and ask them, what did you promise? I mean, how great for them to get reminded of what their vows are. Maybe they don't even remember, and you can be the reason that they pulled their vows out. Okay, so now you have all these ideas, you have your ideas, you have ideas from other people. Now let's start turning this into some wedding vows. You can just take the dump, right? Take what you've each written and now start looking for what are the themes? Are there any key words, any core values, or any specific vows that you have, right? So just take a look at what you wrote. You can check out each word, see which one, works, which one has some resonance, which ones don't. And if there is resonance, put it on your merge list as you've been sharing those. Then you want to ask each other, okay, are all of these, if we have everything that we share, that we both like, is that enough for our wedding vows? Or is there anything that was left in our individual ideas that we want to get into the shared ideas, right? Into the vows. So you start just making some agreement like, yes, I like that. I like that. Let's work on that one, or let's leave that one out. Right? And then finally, you can massage and edit these until you're really loving them. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to massage and edit those. But also, you could have me do them for you. I absolutely love helping couples write wedding vows. All right, just a reminder as you go to personalize these that this whole process, it should be fun and romantic. If you are having stress, if it's turning into a conflict, just pause, just stop, and either come back to it at a later time, get support with a friend, or get support with reaching out with myself or with our program here. All right, now how to edit those vows. You've done a first pass at your own ideas. You've done a second pass by looking at inspiration, ideas from other people. You then came together and looked and saw what are the things that we both want and turned those into a first pass of your vows and had some agreement about what those vows are. Now let's look at how do we clean those up a little bit. So the first thing to do is prioritize, right? The second thing is shorten. And third is select your order. All right, so let's look at these. So first with prioritize. So I want you to consider the different areas here and then just take notes on what you both want at this point. So the first question I ask you is, what's the main word? Do you like the word I vow or I promise? What resonates with you? Doesn't matter, but if you feel differently, then you can check in and see who feels more strongly. And if you both feel strongly about it being different, then maybe you alternate vows. I promise, I vow, I promise, I vow. Both, I'm a Gemini, both is one of my favorite words. So maybe you could use both. All right, second, priorities, right? Are there any vows that are important for you? Now I'm going to talk about the order later on, but maybe there are some that go together, right? Or that it's a big priority that you want to just start with that or end with it. Another question to ask for your wedding vows is, do we want these to be symmetrical or not? Is it that we're both promising the same thing, which I tend to lean towards, or is it that you are going to each promise something different? You can explore it with that, right? What support do you want? I'm going to give you a example of a dismount, a support, asking for others that are there attending to stand for your marriage, to literally stand for your marriage and figuratively stand for your marriage. But we'll get to that in just a moment. Oh, here's that moment is now, right? So this is what Raj and I put at the end of our wedding vows, what we said when, if you saw that picture, the beginning, that was the two of us saying our wedding vows, and we said them simultaneously. So at the end, we said, these promises are the touchstones we commit to coming back to again and again. It is what we want to be reminded of and held to. We make these promises to each other and to you all. Right? Now that might be a little bonus graduate level round, but we really didn't want the traditional, like, yeah, that's their business, that's their marriage. Marriage is often, one of the education programs, training programs I took say, it's a network of conversations, right? You may notice when one couple divorces, next thing in the next couple of years, there's a lot of other divorces happening. So absolutely, absolutely encourage those around you to support your marriage. Now, check out the Venting for Victory masterclass, and do not make the mistake of venting in unhealthy ways, right? You want to have them help support your marriage, not have them be a outlet for your venting. There's good places and healthy ways to vent and unhealthy ways to vent. But I digress. My husband, Raj, he calls me the digressor. Okay, so a reminder about prioritizing, right? You're not locked in, so just check and see and move forward to the next step, right? Now, this next step is shortening them. So you may have a lot of ideas. And when Raj and I sat down, we just stream of consciousness had a ton of wedding vows come out. We had like 25 wedding vows, and they were all great and we all agreed, but we needed to shorten them. So I got a quote here to inspire us before we start. The most valuable of all talents is that of never using two words when one will do. So we're looking at, how do you write wedding vows and have them be brief, have them be inspiring, have them be pithy, as they say, right? So they pack a punch. They have people ooh and ah, and they make you swoon for years to come, right? All right, so to do this, you want to take what you've already created and shorten your vows into a more meaningful and manageable declaration. So look, what are the repeats? Is there anything that you can group? What about just seems like a long, maybe run-on sentence, run-on vow? And what are the most important ones if you had to choose only 12? Now, you want to do this with the two of you. Make sure that you are organizing these in a way that is meaningful to both of you. So what do you both want to promise, right? So the third area for editing your vows here is to looking at those 12 vows that you created, and how to narrow it down, right? You may have gotten it to 12, you may have it at 25, right? But if you do get it to 12, then what's the order that you want to put them in? And even if you have them, like, for example, I had one couple that was a Muslim couple, and there are 4 seasons in the Muslim tradition. And so they had a wedding vow for each of the 4 seasons, right? Raj and I have one for each vow of the month. I had another couple I worked with that did the 7 chakras. So they have 7 wedding vows. So you can create whatever number you want based on whatever theme that you have, right? So what's best to start with? What's best to end with? Your ta-da, your declaration. Like Raj and ours ends with, above all else, I promise to be your partner forever. Right? Because to us, that's really important, is that we're just going to work through this. Whatever happens, we're going to work through this. Okay, now you might also look, which of your wedding vows should be grouped together? Is it, this one, and this one are all really similar? What works best in the flow? And then finally, the timing. Now, if you're going to do 12 months, Raj and I didn't worry at all about the order of the 12 of the vows according to the months of the year, but interesting things happen. For example, vow number 9 is, I promise to create peace with myself, with you, with others, and in the world. And month number 9, September, just happens to be International Peace Day and International Peace Month. So there's things like that. You may look and say, well, I promised to be an instigator of affection. Well, maybe that one is a great time to do during Valentine's Day, and a time what I call the season of passion. January, February, March, April is the season of passion. If you know the play, peace, and passion love trifecta at For Better Love. And then we have the season of play in the summertime. And then we have the season of peace going into the holidays, right? Play, peace, and passion. Because if you have a lover, you have a sanctuary, and you have a playmate, you hit the love trifecta, but it is not luck. It is something that you actually have to create. But if you put in your intention, attention, and action and spread that out over time, then it gets easier and easier and easier. And pretty soon you're being playmates and partners and creating your biggest dreams instead of adversaries trying to figure out who's at fault or how to get your partner to change based on your latest or your repeat conflicts. Right? It's such a drag to have to fix your conflicts. It's way more fun to create what your dreams, shared dreams are. All right, so it's that time again. Grab your playbook and personalize it, personalize it, personalize it. These are your activities to prioritize, shorten, and order your vows. So write down what you both agree on for those 4 core areas, then shorten and review your goals and cut back where you can, and then put your orders in your vows into an order that makes sense and feels good to the both of you. Now, get support. I've mentioned it a few times. This should be fun and inspiring. If it's not, then pause, get some support, whether that's with the coaching program, the full limo ride I mentioned, or the activity guide, or a friend that you have, but get some support so that you can do this visioning of the wedding vows that are a delight to you now and in the future for years to come. Now, I promised you some tips on how to say your vows and what not to forget and what to forget for saying your wedding vows. So let's take a look. Now, overall, I want to remind you, be intentional, be prepared, and be present. The day is going to go so fast. That's the best advice I have, is to slow the day down as much as possible. Try to stay on schedule, but to slow it down and to savor it. So I'm going to give you some practical tips and some personal tips on saying your vows. Now, the first on the practical is to print your vows out. Very often what can happen with people is they have it on their phone and then they don't know where their phone is, or the battery is dead, or they can't pull it up where they had it. So don't let that happen to you. Either print it out or write it out. It can be a very nice touch if you write your wedding vows out. Now, after that is practice them. You don't know how it's going to sound rolling off your tongue, and you don't want to be stumbling over them. So practice saying your wedding vows. And then third, the practical one is to project and to speak clearly. I'm quite loud. My husband is not. And we did have our microphone and we said our vows at the same time, but make sure people can hear you. They want to know what you're promising. Now, Raj and I, we even took our wedding vows and put them on a little piece of paper and gave each person a copy, both at the wedding and when we sent our thank you notes. So that's another fun way to share your wedding vows and to have the people around you support you into keeping those vows alive. Now, if the personal elements, so when you're in it, actually look at your partner, take a moment, let things melt away, let everybody else disappear, and just slow down, breathe, take it in. Even if it's between vows, maybe you've gotten emotional in a moment. It's okay. The emotion is beautiful. So pause, just feel that emotion if you're getting choked up, and savor the moment. It's going to go way, way, way too fast. So those are some tips for saying your wedding vows. Now, again, you want to personalize this and ask yourself, what are the elements? Just write down what's most important for you to make sure that you do in advance. The first 2 should be a given, and then the others, just declare for yourself what is most important for you for leaning in to saying your vows in the most inspiring and empowered and present way. All right, now the wedding is done. Whew, okay. There can be some blues after that. There can be some relief, probably a little of both. And now is the real work. Now is the marriage. So how do you keep those vows alive so that it's not work, so that it's effort, but a little bit of intention, attention, and action spread out over time can really make your marriage. So as I said earlier, that you're not focusing on fixing, as sometimes I call it problem pathologizing, but instead you are aiming for awesome, right? So, as I say here, don't just be wowed by what you wrote right now. Set yourselves up to be wooed month after month and year after year. So, don't stop here with these beautiful vows, and don't let the vows be something you just said. I cannot tell you how often it happens when I start to work with a couple that's married, and I'll ask them, "What did you promise?" And almost every single time I get, "Hell if I remember. I don't know. I don't remember. That was a long time ago," some variation of that. So don't let that be you. Like I say, you can tell me a month and I can tell you what the wedding vow is. Right now for June, it's I promise to honor our marriage and you and always speak highly of you. Right. And then we, of course, have goals each month, each year. We have a new goal for that vow. How do we keep that alive? That's what we're going to do here, is look at some of those ideas on how you can do that. What are some of the structures, or I like to call them games, things that live outside of you, that's not just a thought in your head, so you can keep your vows alive? So one I've mentioned is monthly, right? So Raj and I have a weekly meeting, and at the beginning of that meeting, we say the wedding vow of the month. We say that shared purpose I mentioned earlier. We say the wedding vow of the month, and we look at what those goals are for the wedding vow of the month, right? Now, quarterly, Raj and I like to play a 90-day game. So 3 times a year, we'll sit down, we'll look at our, big plan for our goals that we do once a year. And 3 times a year, we'll look at it and say, okay, what's most important right now? Now, I like to use the seasons of play, the seasons of peace, and the seasons of passion. How do we bring play to money? How do we bring play to sex? How do we bring play to communication and conflict? How do we bring passion to those things? How do we bring peace to those things? So it has a theme that kind of goes along with the theme of the year. So quarterly, you can take a look and say, what are you going to do to keep your vows alive? Raj and I like to also get away those 3 times and have a couple of days of goal setting and a couple of days, what I like to call an orgy for two, where we have just a whole day that's just devoted sometimes to just to sexiness and intimacy, right after we've done all of our goal setting. So we just keep coming back to each other in that connection, because life gets full and full on and we lose sight of that. So it's nice to have that container held for that. But you design your own. As I say, how can you use and adapt this? One of the mantras we have here at For Better Love is keep the fights clean and the sex dirty, because most people are spending their energy on being nasty in arguments, right? And then giving no attention or having sex be vanilla. So we like to say, keep the fights clean and the sex dirty. But that's another point for another time. All right. So after quarterly, you look at annually. Raj and I like to do this on our wedding anniversary once a year and check in, and we'll score our wedding vows and see how we are doing in each one of those 12 wedding vows, and even possibly set goals for the year for those. All right, this is our last personalize it, right? This is where you want to pull out that activity guide, get your playbook, right? And what are you going to do daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually to keep your vows alive? By the way, I don't think I mentioned it, that daily, Raj and I would take a shower together most mornings. And in the shower, we say, we have our shared relationship vision, right? Our marriage mantra, we say that. And we say our wedding vow of the month, right? And so that's a daily thing that we're saying the wedding vow every day for 30 days. Or 29, sometimes 28, sometimes 31, but you know what I mean, for a month. All right, now I mentioned that we have a bonus. So I'm going to give you that bonus, but I want to remind you that your wedding vows can actually be used to help you get out of a conflict, right? To help you not just keep them alive, but if something as difficult is going on, or let's say you're making a big choice, are we going to move, or are we going to, make this big purchase, or whatever it is, you can look at your wedding vows and have your wedding vows help you make that choice. Now, the bonus I mentioned is this why I choose you. This is the part to keep a surprise from your beloved, right? So that they're hearing this for the first time when you're up there saying it, right? It's fun to have this little bit of the surprise. So I'm going to encourage you to write an acknowledgement of your beloved about why you chose them, and then surprise them and say this just before you say your vows. Now, they'll have one for you and you'll have one for them. And it's funny because when I show you the examples here, if anybody who knows Raj and I knows I'm the one who talks a lot more than him, but you can see mine is far more brief and his is much longer. That's fine. But do keep your guests in mind that you want to say what you want to say. And if you work with me on this, or if you get for the full limo ride program, or if you get the activity guide, you'll be able to see those examples in more detail here. Oh, good. I did put it in here. Raj, you are the most loving man I've ever known. You look for special, creative, and most importantly, simple ways to make sure I feel loved. You are committed to growth and development, your own, mine, ours, others, and the world. You are gentle and strong, patient and firm. You are authentic, courageous, and generous. You are my king. You are playful, fun, and funny. You know just how to make me laugh, even when I don't want to. With you, I get to be myself and you draw my best self out. With you, I'm a softer woman, a better listener, and a bigger contribution to the world. You see me, even parts of me I have not seen myself. You're on to me and don't let me get away with any garbage. That was a really important one because I'm fairly smart and I needed someone to be smart too and not let me get away with any of my trying to win an argument just because I'm clever. You are honest, fair, forgive, and ask for forgiveness. I acknowledge you. I thank you. I choose you. And my husband had his. Now his is much longer. I'm not going to read his, but at the end it says, I acknowledge you. I thank you. I choose you. So I encourage you to do the same thing. Why I choose you, and have that special surprise and acknowledgement. Okay, so the review, what have we done? Well, first, get off to a great start, right? And that was doing the gratitude grounding and doing the check-in, capturing your first ideas first on your own, and then sharing with your beloved, then seeking inspiration, and then coming together and taking what you each saw individually and looking at others for inspiration and turn those ideas into shared vows. Then you've got the editing your vows, which is prioritizing, shortening, and ordering your vows, right? And then saying them, making sure that you've got the practical and the personal covered. And finally, I would say the most important part is, how do you practice your vows? How do you keep those vows alive? And the last little fun tidbit is why I choose you, and that secret fun thing to add to your wedding ceremony so that your beloved knows why you chose them. You promise the same things to each other, but you chose each other for different reasons. So thanks so much for being here tonight. Create your vows that wow you now and woo you later. Now you have a few options for how to move forward in the Va-Va Vows Visioning. Right? First of all, I want to remind you again, this should not be a pressure. Make it a pleasure and find what works for you. So maybe it works to do the DIY, do it yourself, do it with some friends, or get some personalized coaching with me. Now, it usually is $1,111, but right now it is on sale for $888, and we only do this one time a year for a limited time. So reach out if this is a good time to support you in creating vows or renewing your wedding vows as well. Now, if beyond wedding vows, there's some additional support you need, maybe you're struggling right now, the pressure of the wedding is getting to you. So if you need some support in that realm, we've got the Venting for Victory, where you work one-on-one with me just to get the uglies out, but not on each other. The Argument Even Better Ifing, where you assess and up-level a recent or repeat argument, or the Rift Residue Removal, where you can get heard, validated, and empathized with on a specific issue. Now, if you're not struggling and you're actually in a better place, then great. The Va-Va Vows Visioning is wonderful for getting married, but don't stop there. You may want to have a shared relationship vision or the marriage mantra I mentioned earlier, or creating 90-day goals to keep your vision alive, your vows alive, and bring those to life. That's how I work with couples: 90 days on, 30 days off, 90 days on, 30 days off. If you're in a ditch, you're having trouble, then we'll help you get out of that ditch. But as quickly as possible, we get you into that, whether it's once a week for those 90 days on, once every 2 weeks, or a lot of my couples do the once a month, 12 calls a year, 3 90-day games. And it's a lot of fun to invest in your marriage and intimacy rather than have to do cleanup on aisle 4, right? All right. So if that's a good fit for you, or you're not sure if that's a good fit for you, you can go to forbetter.love/me and set up a complimentary consult call. Now, we do have 100% money back guarantee. So let us know. Your happiness is our goal. If you're here live, again, check for your email. And if you're here for the replay, then go ahead and snap up that playbook. You can get it at discounted from $33 down to $11, but only for a limited time now. So check it out quickly. And whether you are here live or watching the recording, check out us on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, or YouTube. We'd love to hear from you. So thanks so much for joining us. Here's to creating more play, peace, and passion in love and in life. Take care.